Hey, what are you gonna do with all that leftover trim that you're cutting off over there?
Well, I was just gonna throw it in the scrap bin.
Can I have it?
Yeah, I mean, if you want it, you can have it.
Sweet. All right, there it is, all glued up. It came out really flat, but I think I'm still gonna run it through my planer just to knock the stain off this side so I can draw a better circle that I can see a little better. And then cut that circle out on the bandsaw, or else we're gonna waste a lot of this. And I can probably make something out of this chunk. So we'll get it on the bandsaw, get it cut, and get it mounted on the lathe and make a bowl out of some alder trim from my parents' old house. Okay, got it mounted up, not 100% round, so we'll get it, see if we can get it rounded up anyway. Got my really old Harbor Freight roughing gouge, so we'll see how that works. Can spin it about 300, 320 RPM without shaking to death, so we'll start with that. Okay, didn't notice that the camera stopped recording, so I think this is going to be about the final shape. got a recess cut in. I'm a little concerned about this. Hopefully it doesn't show through. Still have a little bit of tear out right in here. I don't know if the camera can see that or not, but the rest of it's pretty good. There's just a slight amount here too. I think it'll sand out pretty well though. So I'm gonna go grab some sandpaper. I may have to come back with a razor knife and cut these off. I'm gonna sand it first and see what it looks like. But those need to go because they do not look good. So I'll sand it and we'll come back and get something on the outside of this. Okay, went from 120 to 400. I'm just gonna use wipe on poly on this. And hopefully get 2 coats on tonight and then flip it over for tomorrow and finish it out tomorrow. I'm hoping. That doesn't always work out, but we'll see anyway. And I think with this, I should have used oak or something instead of the alder. It's really soft. So all of the holes are a little jagged. They're not terrible, but they're not as good as they would be if I would have went with something hard like oak. So, and because I am who I am, I have oak trim chunks laying around as well. I just had more of the alder, so that's what I went with. But I think it's still gonna end up very nice looking. Yeah. This might be pretty cool looking by the time we're done. All right. I'll be back when it's flipped over. All right, guys. So it is got 2 coats of wipe on poly on it. So it's fairly shiny, but I want it a little more shiny, and it doesn't feel super smooth. It's got like a little bit of bumpiness to it. So I'm going to try this Howard's Restore Shine. It smells really good and it's a polish, so we'll see what it does here. Oh yeah, that helped quite a lot. So let's get this thing turned over and get it hollowed out. All right, I think I'm going to sand it. So it's right at about a 1/4 inch thick, maybe just a fuzz more. And I've got a little bit of tear out here and down on the bottom a little bit. This stuff is so terrible soft. It's kind of a pickle. So I'll get it sanded and we'll be back in a minute. All right. So it is sanded up to 400. We'll put some poly on. There was a split in one of these pieces of trim. It's naughty alder. It's really naughty and lots of cracks and junk in it. So I filled that with super glue and I used thin. So we'll see, hopefully that doesn't stain, but we'll get some poly on there and check it out anyway. This was absolutely gnarly to sand. It really kept catching sandpaper and it just tear it. And this stuff is so soft that if it did catch, depending on where it caught, it would actually pull into the edge and slice through the wood. That's how soft this stuff is. So I should have went with oak instead of the alder, but I think it still looks very nice. Okay, well, there is the first coat. It is really pretty looking. So we will get a second coat on, and I'm probably going to do the polish again because it did turn out pretty nice on the outside. So I will get that done and we'll be back. Boo. Alright, there it is, guys. One alder trim bowl. This is actually the biggest thing I've turned so far. And if you plan on turning alder, have some very sharp tools. The inside is quite a bit more chowdered up. There's a lot more tear out. I took a few chunks. Let's see, you can see that. Yeah, there's a chunk out of there. It's really soft. It's softer than pine, I think. So I'm gonna see if my wife will take some nice shots of this so you can get a better look at it. And yeah, so I wish I would have done it out of the oak, but it's still very cool. It's definitely interesting. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. See you on the next one.